Hi everyone. I just wanted to do an energy hi everyone. I wanted to do an energy update because I don't know, but things have been a little bit hectic. Maybe you've been noticing something going on, but you don't really have the words to describe what it is. I don't know that I'll be able to get into that in full right now, but I did want to bring you guys an energy update using a deck of cards called Cartouche, which is essentially Egyptian cards, Egyptian tarot deck. And what comes out of that is a bunch of symbols that can be utilized to answer a question for us. So while I was working on these cards, a few of them popped out, and the first one was the water card, and it was in the reverse position. Now typically when water is upright, it signifies the stream of life, consciousness, flow of emotions, and everything's in good order. But when it's in reverse, what we're talking about here is a blockage of sorts, something that is getting in the way of growth, or stopping the free flow of life. So that was interesting that that came up as the first one. The second thing that came up was the scarab beetle card, also in reverse. Now typically when this card is in the upright position, it signifies change, or the ability to adapt to change and the acceptance of change. But when it's in reverse, once again, it's mimicking this blockage. It's like we ourselves are standing in the way of this free flow of life by perhaps not accepting something, not adapting to something that has to happen. So those were the first two indications for me, because I've been noticing that when I have resistance towards change in my life, there's a lot of suffering. And if you want this free flow, we ourselves have to get in there and do the work. And then the reading that came up was also really interesting. So I use something called a star spread, which is basically a 5-point star, and the cards answer any questions that you ask as follows. The bottom point is the nature of the question. The top is the reason for asking. Then you have factors to consider, the solution and comments, and the top is the outcome. And in this case, I got 5 cards. I can quickly show you guys the 5 cards right there. I'll be going through them one by one. So the nature of the question came up as the air card in the upright position. Now, air is typically symbolic of communication, or communication of all sorts, including a spiritual communication. So it's evident this is a spiritual communication question that we're asking about. Another thing that comes to mind is the speed of motion, the movement and mobility of the energy, and that's pretty much what is happening right now, a mutable energy. It's something that you can't really put your finger on. It's happening. And the reason that I'm having a little bit of difficulty with this and wanted to put it out there is because it can be really difficult. And so it's interesting that my reason for asking came out as this card, the set card. It was in reverse, but the set card upright is a Saturnian energy, and this typically means a limiting energy that works on the psyche or on the individual, creates tension in order to create growth. Having it in the reverse interpretation is basically some kind of obstacle or malign intent. When it's upright, it's abstract in nature. So it could mean something within the individual themselves. It could be obstacles happening in their surroundings. But when it's reversed, it's usually a very directed type of energy coming from within the collective, coming from within the psyche, like the subconscious mind, or even a particular person in somebody's life. So the reason for asking about this energy update, because it's been a little bit difficult, is because there's a deceptive influence that does not want light to be brought forth. It does not want more conscious to come because it's endangered in that situation. But here's the good news. The factors to consider are that there is spiritual communication from beyond. And what I mean by this is that we can either choose to be sidetracked by the deceptive influences, and I've actually heard this multiple times today or seen it on my feed, and I wanted to bring it up. You can't actually trust every single thought that goes on through your mind. It's not all ours. And a lot of the times I find that the difficulties that I have or the ways that I get sidetracked are often because there's something that comes up and I just run with it or I go with it. But it's not me, or it's not exactly conducive to transmutating the energies and to getting past any kind of blockages. So with this Syrian energy, this Sirius over here, we're talking about higher guidance. We're talking about the potential of humanity, the highest limits of ingenuity, inventiveness, and beauty and craft that we can bring to human evolution. So the factors are, we've got this to contend with. We have got this, and we are able to bring this into the world and allow human evolution to move forwards with the highest potential that we can think of. And then the solution or a commentary on this reading also came up, and it was the water energy again, but this time it was upright. And this is mimicking the air card because they both signify, moving, uncontrollable energies that are occurring, the flow of life, if you will. And in this scenario, the flow is to be unblocked if we are to actually go with it and not be sidetracked by anything in reverse. The water energy is interesting because here I had the air, the water, and I laughed out loud when the outcome card came out because it's very synchronistic. But the outcome of the current energy spread, or let's say the ideal for our outcome, is the Earth card. Hello, New Earth. A new Earth calling to us and calling for our greatest possible expressions. And what that means to me, what it could mean to anybody, is the unification of principles within ourselves, the masculine and the feminine. It's the identification of the source of our thoughts. It's transmutating or channeling your negative emotions into something bigger. It's basically overcoming struggle. But this new Earth over here, it's there. We can manifest it and we can make it happen so long as we keep channeling guidance and the higher ideals of humanity and move away from these deceptive influences. I'm very excited. That's an understatement, but it might not seem like this is happening to you, and if it's not, that's okay as well. But I just wanted to put this out there because this deck is really fun to play with, and I like how it just gives me these symbols, and through these symbols I'm able to interact with aspects of my psyche and learn something. So thank you. This is the first time that I do a live, and I've been mentalizing for like basically the entire day and a few days now, just saying, yeah, I should put myself out there, I should say something, do something. And it's like, no, I'd just rather stay in my little cocoon. But I think that if each of us brings our skills and our joys and our dreams and basically just spends most of our time becoming our most authentic self, and it takes bravery, but it can be done. If we do that, I think we're a lot closer to bringing forth some place where we can be a lot happier, I think. Well, I hope you guys have a great evening or day or afternoon wherever you are, and thank you for tuning in with me.